Everybody, I'm behind the camera today. Hey, cameraman's at work because we're making chili tonight. Chili is something that's going to be cooking all day, so I'm having to do the camera work myself, so you're not really going to see me very much. I've laid out everything, so I wanted to kind of give you a rundown of what we've got going on here. I've got some Roma tomatoes here in the pot. I'm going to boil those. The point is we're trying to loosen up the skin, so I'm going to peel the skin off and then cut them up before I put them in the chili. It's going to be the last thing that goes in there. So you basically just want to bring it to a boil, and then you can turn it off because that should be enough. You'll literally start to see the skin tearing on the tomato, so I'll try and show you that when that's ready. I've got all my spices here. You notice there's a big mix of spices today. I don't use any sort of pre-made chili seasoning blend. The reason is that the ones I've seen at the store are not gluten-free, so I make up my own blend. I also don't follow recipes, so I tend to use different spices every time. It doesn't always turn out exactly the same, but it still always tastes delicious. So the spice blend you want to use is pretty much up to you. I've got a barbecue sauce. This is Kinder's roasted garlic barbecue sauce. It is gluten-free. A little Dijon mustard. Got my normal ones, the nature seasoning blend, my pepper, the Himalayan pink salt. I've also got another Kinder's product here. This is supposed to be a rub, but it's actually got sort of a sweetness to it, and kind of helps to balance out all the spicy stuff I'm going to be putting in the chili, because I have at one time or another made chili that was way too spicy. Still tasted good, but it was very hot. And I've got my smoked paprika. This, even though it says chili powder, this is actually a mix of chili powder and cayenne pepper. This is where a lot of the spice comes from. So I don't put too much of it in, but just enough to give it some flavor. And then I've got my parsley here, because I want to put a little bit of herbs in there. So in addition to the parsley, I'm also going to be doing some of the fresh basil from my garden. Other vegetables, we've got some fresh green onion, also came from the garden. It's grown again, so I was able to get some more. I've got a whole onion here. I am going to use the whole thing. Jalapeno, some sweet mini peppers, and then I'm going to be putting in a nice chunk of fresh garlic, and I'm also going to grate up some fresh ginger as well. So I'm going to have to do a lot of prep work for that. I won't be able to show you that, unfortunately. So we'll have to check in again after that. The other thing I've got is my beans. So I've got black beans, garbanzo beans, and chili beans. I usually actually use the white bean, or it's sometimes called the northern great bean, I think, or something. But we decided to try garbanzo this time, see how that turns out. The type of beans you use is really up to you. You could do red kidney beans, really any type you want. But the one I definitely recommend doing is the chili beans. Because this comes with a nice chili sauce that I put in to help flavor the chili. The other ones I will be rinsing out to get rid of all of their excess juice and you know, that canned flavor that comes out. But this one I will leave as is because I want to use the chili sauce that is in there to help flavor my chili. And then we've got my ground beef right here. I was thawing it out this morning and it's ready to go. So it's just waiting for me. And then the most important part is my crock pot. This is why I have to start cooking so early in the day, because it's going to cook in the crock pot on low for between 6 and 8 hours. So I'm starting it during the day so it will be ready by the time dinner time comes around. Alright, so, see, I don't know if you can see me, but hi. I'm going to start working on chopping the vegetables, getting the beans all cleaned out, and getting everything ready to go. And then I'll check back in with you afterwards so I can give you an update on where I'm at in the process. See you in a minute. First step is done. So I've got my first batch of stuff in here. See, got a nice shadow. So we got the meat in. I cut up the garlic and grated the fresh ginger, put that in, and some smoked paprika. And then the typical salt and pepper starts the seasoning process. The next layer is going to be the vegetables, so I still have to chop those up, as you can see. And with the vegetables, I'll be putting in the herbs and a little bit more salt and pepper. I just want to kind of keep seasoning as you go. I haven't turned the heat on yet. I'm going to wait till I get a little bit more in the pot before I do that. So I will be back in touch with you in a minute. First though, I want to show you my tomatoes are done. It's a little hard to see. Where did it go? So this one right here, you can see it's kind of got that split. Does not want to cooperate. Come on. You can do it. Right here. No! Keeps turning away. It's got a split in the skin. That's what you want, okay? And most of them have split. There are a few that haven't. I'm just going to let it sit in the water, see if those other ones will split. Even if they don't, it's not that big of a deal, because when you go to peel them, they will, basically you'll just put a little bit of pressure on the skin, and they'll just split anyway, even if they haven't split already. So that'll be really easy to deal with. I finished prepping the tomatoes. I wanted to show you the final product. I peeled the skin off. I cut off the ends where the stem was at. And then I just chopped them up a little bit, make them more into little bite-sized pieces. Didn't want huge things of tomato poking around in the chili. Notice that, you know, there's a lot of juice that comes out when you're cutting up tomatoes. I try to save as much of that as possible to add that juice into the chili, to add that extra tomatoey flavor. So, you know, I got a nice cutting board that's got this kind of rivet around the side, so that prevents me from losing any of that juice. Will make it really easy for me to put that into the pot. Meanwhile, while I was waiting for the tomatoes to cool, I did start cooking the chili. It's only been cooking probably about 20 minutes, but already smells really good. You can see I've sort of mixed everything together. So I'm going to add in the last bits, and then I'll show you the final product before I just let it sit for a few hours. Alright, so my part is pretty much done now. I've got the tomatoes in here and as much of that tomato juice as I can get in. And then the last thing I put in was the barbecue sauce and the mustard, and one last layer of nature's seasoning. So I'm just going to stir it up. I'm going to put the lid on, let it cook for 6 to 8 hours, and stir occasionally during that time, just to help everything kind of mix together. And then the last part that I'll do to have the chili for tonight is we love to have some cornbread with our chili. So I am going to go ahead and make some cornbread a little bit later on. So make sure you check out my cornbread video to see how to put that together. Again, that is baking, so the gluten-free part of it is a little involves a little bit more work than other things. Again, I've got this just cooking on low, 6 to 8 hours, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. Chili has been cooking for about 6 hours now. I wanted to show you what it looks like now. It's kind of boiling a little bit in pots. You can see some in parts. Man, I'm having trouble talking. Anyway, I really wish you guys could smell this. It smells amazing. Since it has hit that 6 hour mark, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it to warm. To keep it warm, and it will still continue to, you know, kind of cook in its own juices until we are ready to eat. And then I'm going to start working on making some cornbread. So make sure you check out the cornbread video to get the recipe for that. Chili is all ready to be served. So put it into these bowls, and then I like some sour cream, and then we've got our white sharp cheddar cheese over here. The boyfriend just likes the cheese. But what we've also done that you can see is we've taken the cornbread muffins and broken them up into the chili. They kind of soak up the juices of the chili, and it tastes really good. So we're going to go ahead and eat now, and that concludes the chili recipe for today. So check out my Google Plus page for the full recipe, and we'll see you next time.